Excuse. Good day. Excuse. My chance is busy. Okay, just give me fair time. Just to explain the wood and the load, right? Right. Good day, right? I just have to find me fair time just to explain the wood and the load, right? You don't mind running down camera or right now? Camera, I got no problem, right? So you take our situation, right? So, by chance you don't go church or anything or go any type of religion or anything. That's the best thing ever that people basically do, right? Because in church, let me ask you, name one type of thing that you already learned from going to church. Name something that you could say walk away with, yeah, but this is very powerful that I could change my life.
One guy that 40, my church, he told me, like, I was in church though, when he stood on the way to me, and it was powerful. But when the church and seeing what going on,
what kind of things was?
the thing that we knock off, I don't judge church. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm not church, some people for the unseen. Some of them criticize the unseen. And if you know, I just feel like a class or the noise and people to my life, I'm class on the noise and still excited.
Well, I have a question, right? When so-called Jesus Christ was on the earth, what religion he was serving? You don't say any type of religion, right?
And why we see religion. When I look up, like any religion you go and look up, right? Overseas is a white man to the head of that religion. But when we was in slavery, you take the read book, which is the Bible, right? If you read the Bible, you understand that the Bible is the issue book. Like telling you all about the history, right? One of the issue that you can see in the Bible and how we come here, how we people reach it. No, like how we get to the island, like Trinidad and all, how we people come here, about slavery and everything on ships and all them things, right? That Christopher Columbus thing is total madness, right? And when you just look at what they're talking about, you realize it didn't add enough. Right? They were telling he discovered Trinidad, like, how you going to discover something that was already, that people done living here already? How you discover? Right, come here, right? I say not how we discovered this first person here for the morning, but this walking coming down here, how we may be discovered. It's not making sense, right? When you go to Deuteronomy 20. Started before Deuteronomy 1 and 1.
So it's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 1. Right, so it says, Deuteronomy 1 and 1, it says, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan.
Right, so this Moses talking to the Israelites, right? What type of people we used to go call we? African, right? Ready, son of a show we's African, right? You hold it to that one, say, right? Say that we don't know who we is according to the Bible. You think, I'm asking a question, the Japanese and the Chinese, they're the same people or a different nation of people? But they look the same, man. If a Japanese walk here right now, you can say, hey, nah, that's not Chinese, that's Japanese. You will be able to tell that? Because why they're looking the same, right? So before we go into that, so I will show you that. We not the same people as Africans and them. We look like them. When you go into Africa, they'll call you something called akata, meaning nigger, cotton picker. You know we and them is not the same people, right? That's why they study out how black people sell black people into slavery, which is true. Dark skin race sell our next dark skin race into slavery. Pharaoh had what? Slaves them from the Israelites and them in slavery, right? Pharaoh is an African, them Ethiopians and them, right? They had Israelites and them in slavery. Israelites and them Moses bring them out, right? And then after they get captured in slavery, right? Noah had how much sons? They had 3 sons, right? Shem, and Japheth, right? Let's keep eye on the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. So Ham, one of the sons of Noah, right? Through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races. It's called the people or Negroes, huh? He became the progenitor, meaning forefather, meaning a race will come out of it, right? A particular race, right? Do you understand that part of it, right? He became the progenitor, meaning a forefather, meaning a father of a race, right? The dark races, not the Negroes. What type of people is this called? Negro people. So you should know that he is not there, right? But the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and the Canaanites, all of these people is African. We and them is not the same. Look like them. Alright, if we see the same people, right? What Africans just do is they call key on the head, beaten. I don't want to, well, eating all kind of filth and all kind of things, right?
Big long earrings.
Why does these people do? You feel that urge and boil your lip and part this skin? So how we do carry on the same traditions as these other nations? We got different nation of people, right? These people and them will do anything. And the most I show you that the first because the other people are watching for the nakedness. Look, somehow people look like African. When you watch African people, you see at the one like how I can watch your face and see have a shine thing. All those people look dull. Right? Like like when you now wash your face, but it takes like something and dry out all the skin and you have to put back in something to that's how them does it. Right?
To reach Genesis chapter 9 and verse 25, it says, and he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall.
Right, so we see here, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the what? Canaanites, right? So we back up part of the
Genesis 9 and 25, and he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren.
right? So them is a cursed nation of people. Now we have a curse on we, but it's different to what them have. Them will always be one of the lowest people on the face of the earth, right? Right, so what the new one again? We agree that we separate from these people, right?
Look at Deuteronomy 1 and verse 1, it says, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan in the wilderness.
Right, so Moses talking to the Israelites, he talking to the African and if you notice what Christ do when he was walking the face of the earth, so he talking to one nation of so how everybody will be included in this Bible. But when you go to churches, tell that how God look come, everyone is welcome. The way you see in the Bible. God divided the nations of Israel and they can speak in diverse tongues. Yeah. When you watch tongues, children tell you, shut up, right? So any word that a man speak, he must be able to explain what he's saying, right? Why shut up, and do. Wait is that? See, we don't ask questions in churches, right? And these is commandments. We get to them, right? You put up down over, right? That's supposed to let you know that you must have all these things, right? These fridges, but I'll bring it over to 15 hours.
The book of Numbers 15 and verse 38, it says, speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations.
Right, so this is, then you have a son or something. sons, right? Them is the same generation as you or a different generation. Right? So, you know what I mean?
Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments.
Right? So this is our commandment for the Israelites, right? You see Moses was talking to the Israelites in Deuteronomy 1 and 1, right? Go to Deuteronomy 28 and start at verse 1.
So this is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. So it says, And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy
If you
God,
pay attention, right? So whilst you read it, I go straight on my phone and go to the same Bible, right?
to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on above all nations of the earth.
So Most I say, if it is we keep the commandments, we are set we above everybody else, right? How you would say we living right now? We are above other nations or okay could mean anything. You suffer an explanation. Right, so the Most I say, if it is we keep the commandments, we are above all nations, right? Name a nation we equal above. Venezuelans, don't believe Venezuelans on them, and we is the same people, them is a different tribe. Them went into slavery also, just like we people went into slavery. Right? But they create a separation because they are more lighter color. Right? So they make the Venezuelans believe that they're better than we. So you have a separation amongst people, right? So these are things that are supposed to teach you in the churches, but they don't teach you these things, right? They don't come open it for you. Right? So when you go to Deuteronomy, so it's showing you from 1 to 14, if it is we keep the commandments, he will put bless you by putting you above the nations and all that. If you don't keep the commandments, this is what we're not happening to you. You want to bring out 15?
Right, so this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. So it says, But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments, thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right? So, see what it is. You can from here. So, say, verse 15. Let's go. So, it shall. Come to pass if thou, right? So, in the Israelites, then will not pay attention unto the voice of the Lord, like God to observe and to do all his commandments, right? And his statutes meaning what we stand for, commandments stand for. And people read it, some people will say statue, you're not supposed to, that is not what you're going into, right? Statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. How people living according to, let me say, society. Alright, all these high-rising buildings they see, right? All these, like, gym, all them, institutes and all them. Do these things, we people or even nations. And you see, just not we living good. How people be living, right, yeah, one whole society of this. Mix, right? You can't mix a race. Because child must come from home, mother and father. How you gonna mix it? If a Chinese man skip it off so-called African living, right? They're going on. I guess our point is how many people does live one level? Alright? So once you read this, what we want you to do is here in these pieces, tell me this pertains to, right?
Right, so
It's the Indian, the Chinese, the races and all that.
So these two Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you,
This is one of the things, right? That only Israelites are doing. So you tell me to this thing.
so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
Who does this thing? Or race, right? Now, you'll find the other races, one or two of them might, the men might lead the church, and might not have violence amongst themselves, right? Which is normal. But this is mainly amongst one nation of people, our people, right? Now remember we're reading about the Israelites here so far, right? Like, go down to 64.
So it's Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. So it says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other.
Right, so one nation of people you see that are any part of the earth you will find. Right?
And thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
What is wood and stone talking about? So it's telling us how you people will be that particular nation of people you're reading about will be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right? And they're going to start to serve other gods which they didn't know nothing about, right? So what is the wood and stone talking about in that verse? Right, Tom? Yeah, you're on point, right? So if you talk the Muslims, they refer to the stone, talk about stone and metal, you see they're going on bowing down to that, right? Right, and the wood, reflecting on churches and they go to churches, see how big wooden cross in church, right? So tell you, read it over again.
So it says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Which we didn't know, neither we forefathers before we didn't know, right? Because the pastors, as we say, they're praying on the scene, wherever it is, as the demons still on, right? So that means the praying, nobody not in our God then exists to hear the prayer to deal with nothing, right? Right, so what we have to do is come back to the original God, the true creator, right? Read on verse 68.
So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Right, this Egypt we're talking about is not physical Egypt, right? But in Egypt, what the Israelites was doing in Egypt was under Pharaoh as well. Right, so what this is talking about is going to go back into slavery. But this slavery will be physically in Egypt, right? But when you watch the American dollar, what it have behind it, a pyramid, right? Right. Yeah, that's not right. But what it's showing you is that America is the head whole world right now, right? And what is the movement? Pressing people, you know, the other nations and then that this is what you have to do. Right? We in order to give you sustenance from the world, right? So bring it on.
So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I speak unto thee.
Right, well, right?
With ships, by the way whereof I speak unto thee.
Right, so exactly how the Bible, you could have God say, exactly how the Bible, right?
Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for.
So what it's saying that is, say we will see the homeland again. The homeland is not Trinidad, right? Let me show you it as well, right?
Right? And sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Right, so you are sold to who? The enemies. And when they talk about no man shall buy you, and nobody going on free from the captivity that means, right? Then Jerusalem, it's right? So a lot of people think that we is Africans, right? And a lot of people think that before that we are the serve, we gotta go to church in order to find them and serve them, right? But when you go to the churches and then you realize that these places don't show you about God, they teach you nothing about God, right? Because when you go to church and you don't leave, when you leave church, ask somebody. Yeah, that's answer. Church, right? Was in the wilderness with Moses, right?
Yeah, that's what that.
Right, brother, I'll bring it up here, right? Church was in the wilderness with Moses, right? When there was in the wilderness, there had no physical building, right? So we will see now what or who is our church. So our church is just a body of people in it.
Correct.
So I tell you, one or two are gathered in my name,
Yes, in the
in image, right?
Correct.
What the pastors don't show you, they don't show you what our God really shows, right? Because there's no way Christ come only to the Israelites and then all of a sudden now it includes everybody. Remember God said no change, right? He changed not, right? So that was, if it include everybody now, that means he changed. I mean, God is not the God that we're supposed to be saying, but he would say something and then do mean it, right? And we know God will stand on that kind of principle, right? Yeah, right? So God is a God that don't lie. When he says something, that is what it is, right? No cheat. Are you specific?
Wow.
So, according to what we read so far, what type of people he is? Ain't gonna say in no church, they don't say it. Not supposed to be, can't supposed to be, that's who he is. But if it is, we're going through everything what the Israelites has go through, then we'll be good. So that's talking about the Israelites, right? Get all the pieces. That's like in Lamentations 5 and start at verse 1. Why is it again, no? Lamentations 5 and say why the pieces of and what do you think the pieces on the Israelites, right? And is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken, if you listen diligently, meaning pay full attention unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, meaning to keep the commandments, which I command you this day, that the Lord thy God, meaning your God, will set thee on high above all nations on the earth. It is you keep the commandments, he will and bless thee. And then it show you in verse 2. And all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, and thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. But in the city, them the other nations will own everything. Because why? You didn't keep the commandments of God. You break the commandments. Right? You come like you have a husband, you tell you, I don't want you to get Sean out the road. And he sees speaking to Sean out the road now. Like they are innocent conversation. But remember your husband is your head, right? He tell you, I don't want so and so happening. And you're doing exactly what it is you say to happen. What are doing and causing you? Confusion, right? So we created the confusion within ourselves. Right? So because of doing that now, that's why I say right, so he's showing you if it is we keep the commandments, then we control over everything on the face of the earth, right? But then, let me see people, right? But it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken if thou will not hearken unto the voice, if you don't listen right? Unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these persons shall come upon thee and overtake thee. First shall thou be in the city, and first shall thou be in the field. Remember, I tell you verse 2. If you keep the commandments, you'll be blessed in the city. Now, from 15 down to 16, so you know, if you don't keep the commandments, this is that will fall on you, right? Right? So the reason why we living like this is because we don't keep the commandments of God. Right? You love God, right? Sure. So anything you say to do, you'll do it, right? Wow, right?
Yeah. First shot factory.
Nah, Deuteronomy 22 and verse 5, right? Right? So you love God, right? So sure. Sure, right? So you follow. If I show you something that you're doing that transgress, meaning you're not against you without God, are you willing to change it? To show that you love God? A person that does just when I'm trying as a child, right? It's John 14 and 15, right? If he love me, how is love God? What is sin? Yeah. So that will show you what sin is, right? Right? So say, if he love me, keep my commandments. Remember, we bring the commandments and the Most High told me slavery and Pharaoh and all these other nations, right? Because why? We didn't keep the commandments of God. So if it is we keep the commandments, we will come out of this situation now. But as a whole, the nation of people will not want it. Men want to go and commit adultery, sleep on this, two different man, right?
So these First John 3 and verse 4. So it says, whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
Right? So when you break the laws of God, that is what sin is. I feel like just make up thing in the mind and say, well, this is sin. Right? But the word of God tell you actually what sin is.
That's a good point. That's why you go to church and they say you can't wear no jewelry, you can't do this, you can't do that, and all sort of things just to control you. And that is not what the Bible says is basically sin.
You can't find most of the things where a pastor say, you can find it in the Bible. Now I see a pastor when you bring out the Bible, you have speech, right? And 99% of the things are the same. You can't go in the Bible and find it. One of the things a pastor does tell you is come as you are. How could you go to God just as you are? How do you deal with sin? They're supposed to be sorrowful for what you do and repent. But to repent means to turn away from what you do. Right. So if God don't deal with sin, how you go into God with sin and tell him, here what going on outside? That means you change your way, that means you ain't doing that job. Think about it. So the Bible tells us when a man pray at the top of the table and pray for his sake. Right? I can't come to you as and for you and I a so-called bad boy thing in my pants quite down here. That means I change you, I change it. So how you going to come to that's just man, right? How we going to come to God? But we coming out and smoking a cigarette and God will hear what's going on now. So then that means you have to change, right? So then, because when you look in the Bible, you don't ever see come as you are. That is not no way in the Bible you can find nothing. So that means you have to change your ways, right? Your heart is most deceitful. fellow is clean and good, right? What are you talking about? Yeah.
Like you don't come here. It's fine. You don't need to go around. Tell like there's a big thing.
So that means yes, I will buy the coconut. That's John, Jeremiah 17 and verse 9.
Actually.
I want to show you this here. Jeremiah.
So this is the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 9. So it says the heart is deceitful above all things.
So your heart is something that deceitful, right? So your heart in your chest tell you to control your thoughts. So that means you can't be talking about your physical heart here, right? Telling you how it's your mind. This is what pastors will explain to people, right? They say the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. I never see. So if you go into get a heart transplant, now you got to trace back with now. Who did own that heart? He was good or he was bad? If he bad, I don't want it. You feel when you on a dying bed, you have to find out. Mark's your next question, right? You love your mother, right? Fast, but still. Love she, right? You two, how much you have? Two bodies on a bed or something. And you love all your children, each one of your children with all your heart, right? Right? How much heart you have? So you could love your mother, all your heart, love your daughter, all your how much? Like two heart, right? And your two sons.
God with all your heart.
And your husband. All your heart. How much heart you have in your chest? One, right? That's it. And I should say that to show that the words that you say, you don't really understand the majority of what we say. Right? Because if I love something with all my heart, that means my heart only love this. If I have my car and I see about my car with all what I have, I mean, I'm taking all my resources and see all this. I mean, I can't see all nothing else, right? Why the Bible is showing you is that your heart is not going to tell you on physical people, right? Yes, you have a heart to pump blood in your body, but I still all other good things, right? But what the Bible talking about is your mind. Your heart is your mind, right? So you tell you how your heart is the most deceitful thing. Right? So the most I tell you, and all because then I, the Lord, search the heart. I try, you understand? So you just search your heart. But I don't mean that the most I searching your heart to see if it have a clog or whatever. It is searching your brain, right? Your mind to see where you're really for. If you're for the most side or if you're for the things of the world. Right? So your heart is your mind system, not this what beating in your chest, right? Right. So you say you love God, right? To love God is how you love him again? Right. Listen to what you know say, right? And now tell you that, right? And you can't say it, right? You're supposed to be able to say it if I'm now telling it. Alright, let me go to it, right? I'll go to show you it again in a different, right? So it's John 5 and verse 2. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. What is love God? Right, you have to keep the commandments as well, right? And his commandments are not grievous. Meaning not hard to do. Right? And this is how the Most High does bless you when you keep the commandments out there. You will sin, but you don't willfully go and sin. Alright, if it is like I see now a woman going down the road, right? And I see well it's a nice looking person, and men always attractive, right? I in my mind, because I know the commandments of the Most High, because you may have fringes, but she always reason why he does well, right?
Numbers 15.
Religion is not right? There's we heritage. There's naturally the Israelites. There's wake up and the Israelites to the truth. That's what naturally.
This is Leviticus 15 and verse 30. Sorry, Numbers 15 and 38. So it says, "Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments
If you understand, it's the border we garment, right?
throughout their generations."
As you say earlier on, we is just one generation. The children is our next generation, right? So we still generating on the face of it, right?
And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue, and it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord.
So what is this for? Right, so if it is now, I go and do something and I remember, hey, there's a sin. I go and do something, I look down and, hey, I can't see. I can't go after this, like, I can't go and see by home. Understand? So you don't willfully go off. You will sin, everybody will sin. No man on you can say, well, I know the truth and I do sin. You will fall. Right? But it's what you do after the fall that comes. I can't fall down here and stand nobody here and whole day I lie down on the hot asphalt day saying, well, I'm not moving until somebody pick me up, because as I Hebrew Israelite and somebody have to come and pick me up. Right? You can sit down there and you might end up dying with the heat on the ground, right? And nobody, you want to pick yourself back up. If you do something wrong that you know transgress against the word of the Most High, you gotta say, here we go. I can do X, Y, and Z again. You be sorrowful for what it is you do, and then you pray to the Most High. You can't just say, well, Father, Lord, you're good on that. I smoke a cigarette this morning, I know I ain't supposed to smoke. You know. First of all, the Most High not here in that prayer. You can't gangster the Most High like how you talk to a man or a woman on the face of the earth, right? You gotta go to the Most High with sincerity in your heart. Even if you're truly sorry for what it is we do, right? But I'll bring out that.
This is John 9 and verse 31. So it says,
Just mean a verse in the Bible, right?
"Now we know that God heareth not sinners."
No, the Most High go here as sin. Meaning somebody who willfully going off. Yeah. You do, sometimes you might do something and then anything like that. You repent for it one time. You continue the day without repenting. Right? Exactly, right? So sometimes you might play a little trick on you and you might end up doing something. So I'm right. You might think that you didn't go off, but you went off. But as soon as you remember it, you're supposed to instantly go and repent for it, right?
So it says, "But if any man be a worshipper of God, and doeth his will, him he heareth."
Right? So if it is the commandments of God, guys, when you go on here. Right? So we're going to show you a commandment that you need to change immediately. What it is you think that you're doing or whatever it is that is a sin right now while you're speaking, right? You used to go to church, right? How long you went to church? Right? 2 years now, something, right? So you tell me if you ever hear this me out church, right?
So this Deuteronomy 22 and verse 5. "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man."
No, the woman should wear what pertains to a man.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
Right, so a woman shouldn't wear that pertain, meaning belongs to a man, right? Right?
So it says, "Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment."
Right, so I can't come on here, come on, because I brother say, oh, and ain't go talk to me. You can't tell you nothing more God and just might go on the next slide, right?
"For all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God."
Right, so the abominations are great. So we can't, as men, put on woman's garments and say, something in this, right? So what does a woman does put on that pertain to a man? A what? Right, so you know that, right? Right. So we're going to show you here. Yeah,
So, the this towel.
That's an abomination. I could watch you and see the shape of your body and lust after you. A pants does normally come with a zipper, right? What would a woman use the zipper? Because that's for a man to relieve himself, right? What woman could in slavery, you ever watch us Doctor Slavery movie and see how one of the women wearing pants? Girls wear skirts, right? When you go to a graduation and send your daughter to a graduation and send she in her pants, why you send she? Why you send she in her pants? If it wouldn't make no sense, right? Right, so right now you have known that, it's not making any sense. You would have gone with some hard, but it's right? Because when a woman usually wearing her pants, right? Others have it slack thick pants or they wear tight fitted, right? So when a man see that way, he lost after it, right? Now you win sin, and it was not a man to sin. It's all men. Anything to see, a man was designed to be attracted to curvature and the shape of a woman's body. So that's why you see a man go, yeah, I couldn't look at wherever it is, or if he driving on road to he might be 10 here looking, but he don't see already. Right? So what we women have to do is dress up modesty. Right? And your lamentations.
Leviticus 16.
Yeah, Leviticus.
So these Leviticus 16 and verse 4. It says, he shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh.
I read it over.
And he shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh.
White people and you see it, right? After World War II, when the men wanted to equal rights with men, started putting on, you know, it had a jumper, it's a pony. Now I cannot see here, jumper thing, pants, right? I think women started picking up wearing pants, right? That was not a natural thing. Because a woman needs hair from it, and sometimes soft, right? Most women that wearing pants and things, they normally wear that way I don't go by gynecologists and all these different things, right? Right? Alright, women are gynecologists, right? Name the one that men does have to go to, third down. One on, right? Because we exist because by men does wear what pertain to them, right? So when a woman not wearing it, what is happening to she? She have all infection and all these different things, right? So we as a race of people had to start taking care of it. Mosai didn't ordain me to wear certain things, and if I love Mosai, why should I? That is the right thing. Keep the commandments, right? And Mosai commanded women not to wear pants, right? Yeah, 6 and 4, same lamentation.
Sorry. Alright, so this is what we call Leviticus 6 and verse 4. Right? So it says, right, so it says, then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violent away.
6 and what? And 10.
Oh, sorry, 6 and 10, right? So it says, and the priest shall put on his linen garment, and his linen breeches shall he put upon his flesh.
And the what?
And his linen breeches shall he...
His linen breeches. You seen when you're reading that? You seen his. Meaning man, right? Read it from the top again.
And the priest shall put on his linen garment.
And put on his linen garment. Linen is the material. And well, you know, they make the garment out of it, right? Which is the breeches, right? Continue.
And his linen breeches, and he...
Because I show you that's not breeches, mean pants, right? But I just older form of saying pants, right? What slack your thing. Give me Exodus 28 and verse, start at verse 14. Right, so I will show you to that.
Right, so this Exodus 28 and verse 41. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother, and his sons,
And his what?
and his sons,
His daughter.
his sons, with
This pertains only to men, right? And there is a commandment from the Most High. And we'll see what we're going to happen with it here. Continue.
Right? His sons with him, and shall anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office.
Continue then.
And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness from the loins even unto the thighs. They shall reach, and they shall be upon Aaron and his sons when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die.
That they what?
That they bear not iniquity and die.
So we see in the wages of sin, right? Is death. Right? So when you sin, that means you're breaking a commandment that the Most High give, right? So by a woman wearing that, she's breaking the commandments of God. That's why you see sometimes I can't flip over and a woman unfortunately lost her life. But she damaged and in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Because why? Because you don't want to take off her pants. That makes sense. Can you imagine you see your daughter because she not breaking the commandments of the Most High? Come. But you can have things that you can put online that you have to get quality there like advertise. Things need to remember. There are the short things that you can put online. You need to open up in our legends. Right? But the other everything you go to the other things in combination. Right? My daughter used to do plastic and all them right? So the other and then and all too, when you watch the things that you can have out there for your daughters and the trending to do right now, right? These people and them carefully think about what it is they do. Like when we had a dance, we had that producer that it's now. I think so. I'll ask that question. When God gave a commandment, right? So we tell him, well, you remember, she had us to dance. And remember, she had us to do gymnastics. When you can't flip over now, you say, oh God, my daughter, and you hear that voice again, you don't know pauses. You know, you can say, but you know, if I just show my daughter to keep the commandments, you know, I would not be in this position today with she. So you see, sometimes the devil's so cunning that he would use the simplest thing to get you to go off. And then be blaming everybody else. Not knowing that the Most High give you the answers, how we can prevent these things.